Hi everyone, this is another video about sound design. Today we're going to be looking at the clip I did from Westworld. As you can see, it's along the same sort of size as the Mass Effect 3 one. For this one especially, I did some ADR and it is terrible. I'm not a voice actor, but I'll be going into that more detail later on. As you can see, I've got my memory location set up. If you want to know more about that, you can go look at the Mass Effect 3 video that I did. I go into more detail of what they are and why I use them and the benefits of using them. So for this clip, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on because there's a lot of Foley in this one. It's a fight scene, and I wanted to kind of add all of these details and make sure that nothing was missed so that the fight scene sounded more realistic. So let's just go straight into it. It's raining in the scene, so like always, I have my atmospheres. It's raining pretty hard in this scene, as you can see. But that's where I started. I was adding the sounds of the world. So then we move on to kind of like these smaller details of the chair. Like he's in the chair, and we add that because he gets up. And then we go into more of the whiskey bottle smash. So this bottle smash is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sounds. So we have this one here, which is just regular smash of a glass. Then we add some more sound, which is more of a pop, and then more of a k sound. You may be thinking all of these sound very similar. That's because they do. And then here we've got the one where it sounds like he's hitting it against a table. And when you put all these together, it just adds more detail than you would usually hear. I mean, to make it sound realistic, but you want to make it sound hyper realistic for film and TV shows and whatever, because you want your sound to be larger than life. You want it to be impactful. So if you just had a whiskey bottle smash and you just had one sound for it, I don't think it would portray the same amount of intensity. So when we play them all together, we have more of a rounded sound and more of a kind of heavier impacting sound. And then we have of when he gets stabbed into there, so we've got that kind of like slashy kind of sound. And then we can layer that in with this sound here, which is more of a slice. Then more of a puncture wound. And then we have the blood. It splues out of his neck, like. And then we have the character in pain. So then when we put all these together, we get a cohesive sound of him being stabbed. And a lot of the sounds for this have been done that way, and this is how I do it. Like I always say, layers are key to creating interesting sound design. So then, if you listen to this, let me just turn the music off, because so yeah, the gunshots are big and out and kind of the main focal point. But then if we take away the gunshots, let's just take away those. So if we then break this scene down into its components, we have the table and whatnot, and then kind of like the glass on the table falling off, and it's just going into detail of what's in the scene and what can we hear. And then we have our gunshots, which are, you guessed it, layered. So here we have this part here where the enemy hits the door. So if we just play this for you here, let me just solo these tracks here. So even for the person hitting the door, we have 3 sounds. So we've got like a kind of hollow. Then we've got more of a kind of like a splintery, and then we have that layer again of the kind of the bass. So we have our high, low, and mid, and then when we play them together, we get this crunchy, we get this kind of impactful sound, like he's really been thrown against this door. I mean, you probably wouldn't hear him swish around, but it's always cool to add that kind of like sense of movement. Then we've got our footsteps. And then we have this kind of little layer here of a creak to kind of show that he's closer. So then we get our gunshots. And then we have this scene where he's walking through the mud. So let me just play you all of the sounds of him in the mud. I spent a lot of time trying to do this to make it sound like he's actually walking on mud, and there was a lot of editing and layering. So then we have the sound of him walking with the movements, and it's always key to try and add that with the Foley. I mean, if you don't have the clove sounds, it can sound empty. So let me just take those away, and we can focus more on the footsteps here. Let's just zoom in a bit. Okay. So what do we have? So we have this. They're the two that when he's on the stairs, and then we have kind of have these wet sort of puddly sounds, and then for this one we have the kind of like the bassy kind of thing where he's actually like walking on this kind of half mud, half like hay, and then we have some more accents of like squidging. And then I just combine these together and we get this. And then we add our clove sounds. And that's when the drips land on his glove. And then as we just continue with we've got more stuff of him moving in the wet. It all sounds really weird because it's not in context, but let's just put it back into context. We get on to my terrible ADR. So with this, just recording myself. It's cringy to listen to, but like when you put it into context again, like it adds the idea of these people are actually characters. I could have left it blank, but then I feel like it would have taken away from the entire clip.
Don't worry, amigo. I'm here now, watching over you.
So I put on this kind of like raspy voice, and then I did a bit of editing in the EQ and pitch shifted it to make it sound not like my voice, and make it sound more like a man's voice. And these are just typical sounds, like I've said in the previous one, where you take what you think it sounds like and you just put it in. And 9 times out of 10 it works, because once you start doing this, you end up thinking more like a sound designer. So when you're working on stuff and you're in your sample libraries or you are recording, you'll be like, what do I need? I know exactly what I need. Let's just try this out. And then sometimes you'll be looking for either like, that could work, and then you put it in and you're like, oh, okay, that doesn't really work, so then I'll try again. But then there's some sounds where you listen to them, you're like, that's exactly what I need, and you put it in, you're like, that's perfect. There's very little things I need to do to make that sound like it is. So this happened with the wooden box. So originally I had and I was like, that sounds cool, but then I was like, I'm kind of missing something. I'm missing something for this box, and I was like, I know exactly what it is. It's the sound of like the splinters being pulled up. So, and then more of it's just Foley work and just the squidging of the steps, and then we have one explosion, and this explosion is, like I say, layers, layers, layers. We've got an explosion there, and then we've got this one here, which is more of like a pew. So then when I put those two together, we've got the weight of the first one, we've got the kind of like accent of the second one, and then we've got more of a high-endy kind of, more like cartoony, but still, it's just there to add that high end. And then we've got the flames, because what in this scene is happening is he's what he actually put into his mouth inside the shot glass was this really highly explosive liquid. So the idea is like he shoots him and he explodes. Then we've got the gunshot, which is kind of like a dry sound, and then when we put it with the other gunshot, adds that kind of weight to it. Like this is a powerful gun. And then we've got the last to sort of like accent this sound. So we've got two sounds that have like fireball-y kind of sounds. And then when we play it all together, and then with the music, I had to stay true to the Westworld universe, and it's just one of those things where you're trying to find music for your clip, and you want to make it cool and fit the timing. And I put this in, and I swear, like I put it in, and that was done. It just happened to fit so perfectly. There was no real editing going on. It's just the timing of the song just fit absolutely perfectly. So obviously I edited it to the point where like when it smashes on the floor, we go into the first riff. But then when we go into like here, it just cuts down into like this less kind of version of itself, exactly where I wanted it to. And just builds up where I wanted it to, and then as he goes to the enemy, it just comes again. I want to say he's a hero, but he kind of isn't. He's the lesser evil of the two, I guess you could say. So like when he like takes over and he like gives him his own medicine, like the music kind of like heightens that. And then as soon as he lets go, and then the dialogue comes in, just perfectly.
Don't worry, amigo. I'm here.
We have that kind of slumminess to it, and I was just absolutely amazed at how the fact that it just worked the first time. And I can't really say much else about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. There's a lot of walking around, and a lot of the time that I spent was in the kind of the editing, the footsteps and that. But if you want to know anything about this, you want to know what I did or how I did it or why I did it, always good to leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you. If you enjoyed this, give us a like, it's appreciated. Lets me know that you are enjoying these and want to know more and want to learn more about sound design. These videos are just kind of like help people if they're interested in it and they want to know what kind of things to do and what kind of things to think about. These videos aren't about, oh, if you do this and you follow these steps, you'll get great sound design. It's more of the fact of just, if you try and think in the way of a sound designer and be free about it, and don't be worried to try things, and if they don't work, they don't work. That's fine. That's not a problem. You can always try again. But it's just to get into the idea of sometimes less is more, but layers and layers help so much. And if there's one tip I could ever give, it's just always to try and don't just put one sound in. Okay, cool, that's done. Try and see, what can I add to it? What's missing? How can I make this more impactful within the clip? I mean, obviously there's things like having a fork placed down on a table. I mean, that to me, that's not something that's going to impact the story. I mean, it could do if the film is about forks, but that's probably a weird film to work on. And if you are working on a fork film, then go ahead and make your fork sound absolutely insane. But you just need to know when enough is enough and when you need to add detail, and it just comes with practice. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the best sound editor. I mean, I highly focus in editing, and I absolutely enjoy doing this. I love seeing the project come from silence, because how I do these are all built from silence. So I will just mute the track that's with the video, and then I will start from scratch. I'll be like, okay, what do I need to add first, and build up my my world that way. So I get to see it from the start and how it progresses to what is the final product. And I hope these videos allow people to understand the work that goes into it, and it's not just add a bunch of sounds, put them all in, and then they work. It's more about time and your attention to detail. You need to understand that what you do is to complement the visual, and most of the time, a lot of people don't think about sound. That sound is half of the film, half of the movie. So if you want to get into this kind of stuff, it's really great fun. Just best way to do it is just to get some videos from YouTube and just have a go at it. But anyway, hopefully this has been fun. Like I said, I'll answer any questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.